what I want to talk to you about some of the sort of technology that we're seeing now, and actually what we can actually provide in real time. So what we tend to find with collaboration is, and technology generally, is lots of technology gets talked about that's not actually sort of available to consumers, to a typical Node 4 customer. So what we're looking at is real world and what we can deliver. So the first thing to look at is cognitive collaboration. So this is something that we're seeing particularly around the Cisco meeting space. So Cisco have done a lot of work around collaboration and trying to get more information, more intelligence into meetings. So they have a feature called cognitive collaboration. What I'm going to do is start the video rolling. This is a Cisco video, and I'll tell you some of the feature set as that runs and why that's relevant. So what we're trying to do with cognitive is the systems know who people are. So we know who users are, we know where they are and how relevant the people are to a conversation. So if you look in our collaboration zone over there, we'll show you some of this technology. But basically what we can do with the WebEx feature set now is we know who people are when they enter a meeting room. We know when the meeting room's available, and we know when the information about the actual attendees of that meeting. So this feature that we're seeing at the moment is basically intelligence gathering from within the collaboration suite. So what that means, when we join a WebEx meeting, the actual Cisco Cloud can go to the internet and find any public-facing information about the company, the contacts, and the people within that meeting. So when you join the actual meeting, you can be presented with a pane of glass that's got all of the information related to those people. So it gives you a real rich meeting experience, allows you to actually sort of have some intelligence about people that are attending. So cognitive collaboration runs through all of the meeting experience suite that we've used. So again, we can demonstrate that over there. One of the other things that we're seeing a lot of growth around is artificial intelligence. So everyone's talking about AI. Within the contact center space, that's particularly relevant. So what we're seeing and what we can demonstrate again in the collaboration zone is how we can use artificial intelligence to actually enhance the customer journey. So we use bots, and lots of people have been doing that for a long time. But what we can do with bots is actually bring in some intelligence. So we're not using scripts, we're actually basing our contacts based on previous discussions, sentiment, etc. So we can look at a journey from a customer and decide whether that customer is annoyed, whether they're calm, and what their sentiment is during that call, and actually sort of act accordingly. So if you've got a customer that's particularly annoyed, they're shouting, they're raising their voice, or they're using certain language, we can actually treat them differently. And we can learn from that. So we can learn from a previous experience with a customer or with different types of customers, and we know from previous experience how to treat that call. Again, it's better shown in practice, so if you wanted to go into our zone, you'll be able to see this in the real world, and we can demonstrate our artificial intelligence in the customer contact space. The last thing that we're sort of showing in our zone is around IoT. So IoT is not probably the most obvious thing to talk about when we're looking at collaboration. So Internet of Things is something that, again, you hear lots of discussion about, and I think most of a typical Node 4 customer base, sort of an SME type customer or a sort of medium enterprise, even a larger enterprise, would probably think IoT is probably outside of their scope. It's one of those things that tends to be large manufacturers, large providers. What we can actually do now with the Cisco Kinetic suite and the Cisco portfolio is actually bring IoT into a collaboration space. So what that means, and what we can demonstrate over here in the zone, is taking a device, a sensor, and looking at things that are normal or abnormal and generating events. And an example of that would be if you've got a piece of machinery or a device that's got a sensor that generates maybe a heat sensor or a water sensor, and it goes outside of normal scope. What we can do with that is firstly have some artificial intelligence to know that that's not normal and that we need to do something with that. But secondly, it can take some action that's intelligent. So one of those things may be to create a collaboration space so that an engineer can get involved in that discussion. Another thing may be that actually we've got people on site there that have got a problem. We know there's a problem because the IoT device has told us, and we can actually go onto that device and look at and talk to the device. So again, we can demonstrate this where we've got sensors that have triggered an alert, an engineer can automatically get added into a space where they can see what's going on. That engineer could then talk to the customer using video, automatically created. The engineer could then actually talk back to the sensor using real English language. So we're not talking about code, we're talking about, asking a question of a sensor. So how hot is it? English language translated into real-time code and being able to work with the sensors. So what we're seeing again, this is not an obvious thing for when we're talking about collaboration, but it's a real-time, real-use scenario of the technology, and it sort of sits on the fringes of collaboration.